Okay, welcome to our first lesson on Microsoft Access. As you can see, this is our interface for Access. For those of you that have never done Access before, if you can look on your Windows key and then you click on your Start. If you want to see all the apps, if it's not seen, you can come to All Apps, then you can browse through here and then look for Access. Or you can quickly just come to the search bar and then you can type on Access. So when you type on Access, you can see the app right here, then you can click on to open it. So that's how we go into Microsoft Access. Now, once you open the Access, you will have something that looks like this, wherein the files that you have just used or opened or you've just worked on, they will be on your left hand side. Those are the ones that are here. And then on this other side, you have different kinds of options that you can do. So on top here, you can see some templates. So what we call templates are things that have already been worked on before by Microsoft, and Microsoft already put them in because these are things that people use regularly. So you can just click on a template. Say if you want to upload contacts of people, you can click on the contact template. If it's a charitable condition, nutrition tracking, tax management, etc., etc. So there are a lot of templates that we can have here. So you can see all these templates. These are already done. All you need to do is edit. So that's what a template is. And you can create a blank one because that's what we are going to do. You can create a blank one. But before we go into Microsoft Access, you need to know exactly what Microsoft Access is, and then what is it used for? What do we use Microsoft Access for? So as you can see on top here, Microsoft Access is a database software. Database in the sense that it allows you to store information of people. So the data of people, I'm sure you know data are unprocessed information, things that don't make yet sense yet, to store them. So say for example, you go to Facebook newly as a new user. Facebook will take your name, your first name, your last name, and then ask for your date of birth and so on and so forth. Now, after Facebook has accessed all those ones, after you have inputted all those data inside, those data need to be stored somewhere. So the place where they are stored is what you call a database. And Access is one of those tools that you can use to create a database. Apart from Access, you can use also software like MySQL, SQL, MySQL, wherein the SQL stands for Structured Query Language, MySQL. You can also even use Microsoft Excel to develop a database. So these are all fascinating tools, but for the purpose of the WAS examination, we're going to focus on Microsoft Access for a database system. Now, if you want to open a blank database, this is what a blank database will look like. You click on this blank database because we don't want to get a template. We don't want to edit something. We're just going to create a blank database. Now, if you click on the blank database, it's going to give you something that looks like this, wherein we need to put the name of the database that you want to create. So we can call this one first trial. So we can call this first trial. And then we need to put the location of this database. If I click on this one, that is this thing that looks like a folder here, it will lead me to where my documents are found. If I don't want to save it inside my documents, I will save it on my desktop as first trial. I'll click on desktop. Then if I have a folder that I already created that I want to put it in, I can do that. But since I don't have a folder I want to put it in, I can just put it on the desktop, and then you can see it is saved as Microsoft Access 2007 to 2016 database. And then you can have other formats here, but we are going to stick to this format. After saving it as first trial, I'm going to click on OK. And then when I click on OK, you can already see there the name has changed to firsttrial.accdb. Now this accdb.accdb, this one that you see here, this is what we call the file extension. The file extension for Microsoft Access. So for Microsoft Access, the file extension is .accdb. When it comes to Microsoft Word, it is .docx. And when it comes to Microsoft Excel, it is .xlsv something like that, xlxx, and so on and so forth. So different software have different file extensions. So for Microsoft Access, the file extension is .accdb. These are questions that can usually come in objectives. So you are supposed to know the access, the file extension for each of these software that you are learning in school. So after I am done with that one, I'm going to click on create. Then after clicking on create, you have an interface that looks like this. You can see here, these ones are my ribbons. You have file, you have home, you have create, you have external data, you have database tools, you have help, you have fields, tables, and then tell me what to do. We will go through each of these ones as today is our first class. Now, if you click on file, here is where you can save, you can open a new file, you can open an already existing file. You can print if you want, if you have a report that you want to print, you can print that. You can close this one, you can check on your account, give a feedback to Microsoft and other things. Here also is where you can put password on your database. So if you want to encrypt your database with a password wherein you don't want people to have access to the things that are in your database, you can always close your database and then put a password on it, wherein only people that you share your password with will have access to this database. And this is a very, very important tool to know so that you can be able to protect your data, because data is very important and the protection of data is very, very key. So apart from that, we have our home tab. Wherein we have our view. We'll come to that soon. We have our paste, like copy, paste, and you know the shortcut for paste is Control plus V. And then we have all these other options that we will come to later. All these ones. We have our refresh all, etc., etc. Even these ones like total, etc. We can calculate some. We can do some calculation in Access, but we'll come to that when we learn Access better. So apart from that, we have another place where we have create, and this place we can create tables, we can create a query, we can create a form, we can create a report, and so many other things that can be done. And all these ones are useful for you to know. Then we also have, if we want to get an external data, a data, let's say for example from Excel, we have already our data typed in Excel, and we want to put them into our Microsoft Access, we can easily just come to external data and then import those files to Microsoft Access. And you can come to new data source and then you select where you want to get your file from. So if you already have files that are created on Excel, you can just import those files straight away into your Access. And we have also to export files to different software. You want to export it to Excel, you want to export it as a text file, so PDF, etc., etc. So this is where you come to. Then we have our database tools. This is where you create your relationship between tables. We will talk about relationships later. This is where also, if you have made a query, you check if your query runs or not. Okay, so as I was saying, that's what the database tools are. We will learn about those things. Then, in case you have any problem, you can ask for help here. And then over this end here, we have our fields and table, and because that's already because we have this one here. So now Access, as we said, is a database management tool. We can use it to manage our data and do a lot of things on it. Now, one thing about any data, it has what we call tables. Every data has what we refer to as tables. Now, tables are made up of two things. They are made up of rows and columns. Now, rows and columns in Access, we call them fields and records. So, aside from Excel, because Excel you call those ones rows and columns, but in Access we call them fields and records. Now, fields are your columns. So each of these columns that you have, here, these ones are what you call your fields. And then each of these things that you put inside the fields, the rows, those ones are what you call records. So rows is the same as records, fields is the same as columns. Now, if you want to add fields, there are multiple ways you can add fields. Now, in Access, we have different kinds of views. Now, if you come to this corner end here, you have what we call view. You have the data sheet view, which we are on right now. It looks like Excel. And then we also have the design view, which looks like this. Now, if you click on the design view, it always asks you to give your table a name. So say, for example, we want to create a simple table that will take the names of students and their address. Let's say the names of students, their contact, and maybe their parents' details, just something that has to do with students, the subjects that they do, etc., etc. Now, this is what we are going to do.